Hey, I'm Vicky and these are my best tips for saving money on your weekly food shop. Food prices are still going up and up and up. I think we're all feeling it, we're all noticing it. Even though food inflation, the rate at which it goes up is gradually coming down, all we're seeing is food prices still going up, just at a slightly slower rate. Now, some of these ideas you might already be familiar with. In fact, I think probably the first one or two you definitely will be. However, these all kind of work together and complement each other. And I think you'll find at least one or two things on here that you're not already doing. So please watch it all the way through to the end and let me know if there's anything that I've missed that you guys are using every week that has really helped you to cut your spending. Let's start off with the really obvious things, which you probably already know, but are you actually doing them? Because I know that I know them, but it's the weeks where I fail to do them where I end up overspending. So number one, it's make a meal plan. Number two, it's make a list based on that meal plan. And as part of that meal planning and list writing process, shop your kitchen, your cupboards to see what you already have so that you're not just buying stuff that you've already got. You know, that can of chopped tomatoes that went to the back of the cupboard that you could use instead of buying something brand new. And oftentimes I will base our meal plan on what's left over in the freezer, what's left over in the fridge from last week. And I've got a free blank grocery list that you can download from my website. I'm going to leave a link to that website article in the description below. The next tip is to be wise to supermarket tactics. So kind of develop a sense of unagi, if you like, if you're a Friends fan, whenever you're in the supermarket, having total awareness of the fact that from the second you enter the shop, all the supermarket wants you to do is to buy beyond what's already on your list. At Tesco, you've got club card prices literally everywhere. Club card prices, club card price. And at Sainsbury's, it's the Nectar prices, exactly the same thing. Literally dozens of deals in every single aisle. And it kind of bamboozles you. And it makes you assume, okay, well, everywhere I look where I see these prices, that is the best price, when in actual fact, that's not necessarily the case. And what's really frustrating for me with the Tesco club card prices and with the Nectar prices is that they're not putting the price by gram, by weight, in the Tesco club card price dot. So you can see the price per weight, what it would be if it were full price. However, they're not putting it on the club card price. And actually, if you take a minute to work it out, oftentimes you'll find that a full-size product, say, that's been marked down as to a club card price, actually works out the same as a product right next to it that isn't marked up as a club card price or a Nectar price. So that's kind of making your job a little bit more difficult because you're having to do the maths yourself in your head. But I think the message to take away from it is that just because it says it's a club card price and it's great, or it's a Nectar price, isn't that great? It's not necessarily the best price or a cheaper price than what you would find at another supermarket. So it's just being really wise to that and not allowing that to make you then buy more. There's a similar stories with things like multi-buys. A multi-buy can be a really good deal. It can be, but I think if you weren't going to buy that thing anyway, then all you've done is spend money. With certain things I do like to stock up when they're in a multi-buy. There are certain products that we will buy regularly and I know that they will keep, and that's fine. But just be really wary of the fact that multi-buys are not always the deal that they're cracked up to be. One tactic that the supermarkets deploy really quite blatantly is that they will put, generally speaking, the expensive stuff that they really want you to buy right at eye level, right here. So the shelf that lines up with your eye line here, that tends to be, not always, but once you start looking at it, you'll see what I mean. It tends to be where the most expensive stuff is. And a lot of the times the really cheap stuff, which is basically the same, but it's not the branded item, the really cheap stuff will be right at ground level. So you have to sort of scoot back a bit and take a look down to see it, bend down to pick it up. And they're kind of counting, I think, on you loving the branded stuff, and so automatically going for that because you assume it's better. We all do that. But also maybe not noticing that there's something that's over £1 cheaper right down there at your feet. My next tip is to always shop for the cheapest price. Check by size, check by brand, check by range, and look for the latest deals. Brand loyalty is one of those things that can end up actually costing you dear. It's very rare that brand loyalty actually pays for you when it comes to a supermarket shop. Try looking at the world food section for things like rice and other ingredients, because actually you can often find that things in that area, they might not be brands that are familiar to you, but they're often way cheaper than the branded or supermarket owned items elsewhere in the shop. And something that can help you check for the cheapest prices, because let's face it, none of us have time to go supermarket to supermarket checking the price, trying to remember what was the price at Sainsbury's, what was the price at Asda. We don't have time for that, okay? We're working, we're parents, we've got loads of things going on, whatever. We don't have time to go shop to shop. So let this website do the hard work for you. It's trolley.co.uk, and you can use that to check prices before you shop, and that can give you a general idea based on the stuff that you need, what is going to be the cheapest place for you to shop at. You can add the Trolley browser extension to Chrome, and then you can use that to go specifically onto whatever supermarket that you normally shop at. Type in the items that you're thinking of buying, that you're going to buy in this week's shop, and then it will come up with a comparison for the other supermarkets. How much are they pricing that product? Now, this browser extension doesn't work with every single item. I found that the browser extension doesn't work with things like, say, chicken breasts. It just doesn't seem to clock in and show me like the equivalent weight chicken breasts for other things. So I have to go to the specific Trolley website to check things like beef mince and chicken breast and pork, whatever. However, the website is great, the browser extension is great. It's just a really good way for you to get a sense of, well, how much could you be saving if you changed to another supermarket? The next tip is to always use the offers that are available to you. For example, if you're a regular shopper at Sainsbury's and you have a Nectar card, they do this My Nectar Prices. So as well as the store's Nectar prices, which are literally everywhere, they also tailor some Nectar prices specifically to you based on your shopping habits. Now, some of them are useless. Sometimes one of my My Nectar prices will be something that I've never bought before. It's obvious they're just trying to sell me that product, but a lot of the time they are legitimately things that I do normally buy. So go into your Nectar app, check and see under My Nectar prices if you can get a particularly good deal. And it's the same thing with any kind of coupons or reward schemes. And if you are going to a supermarket and you have got a loyalty card, never, ever, ever forget to take that loyalty card with you, because it is literally like you are handing easy money over to the supermarket owners. So what I try to do is I have all of my loyalty cards stored in the digital wallet on my iPhone, which I think you can also do on an Android phone too. And it just means that wherever I am, even if there's not good Wi-Fi in the store, the wallet has the card details stored, and I can scan at the checkout and get whatever discounts are owed to me, and also collect any points for any reward schemes that I'm using. For example, things like Asda allow you to collect reward points. You want to always make sure that you're collecting those points. So for example, with Asda, they have their Christmas saver, and this means that if you put away £40 or more, you earn a £5 bonus, and you can save that right up until the 24th of November. And while we're on the subject of never forgetting stuff, never ever forget to take your reusable shopping bags with you. I always have some folded up and stored away in the boot of our car, and I always also have a couple of emergency ones in a handbag just in case, because I am incredibly forgetful and I am at great risk of forgetting. Another way to save money on your supermarket shop is to always be shopping for freebies. So a lot of supermarkets will give you money off your first online shop with them that can work out much cheaper than your weekly food shop would normally be. And actually you could ditch supermarkets altogether and try out an introductory price on using a food delivery service like HelloFresh and Gusto. A little while ago I tried that out and I crunched the numbers, and the introductory price for the meal items that I got worked out, for a family of 4, worked out much cheaper than had I bought those ingredients with those recipes in mind from a supermarket. I've got a whole blog post about that, and I'm going to link that in the description below. It does not work out cheaper once you get to full price HelloFresh and Gusto membership. So just a word of warning, take advantage of those introductory prices, because in my experience it did work out a lot cheaper. But remember to cancel, because once they start charging you, it is then more expensive than what the items would have been from a supermarket. Another thing I've tried to do recently is stock up on certain things from a supermarket where I know it's going to be really, really cheap, and then do a more general shop somewhere else. So for example, Aldi works out way cheaper for a whole bunch of things, like a lot of their meat, their veg, their orange juice as well, definitely works out cheaper for us than buying the branded things or even the own brand products of Tesco, Sainsbury's. However, Aldi, my issue with Aldi is they don't have all of the branded products that I like to buy. So what I try to do is plan like a fortnightly shop at Aldi where we stock up on things like their orange juice, because that will keep for a little while. And then we will do a general weekly shop elsewhere where we can get the branded stuff that we like. And obviously things like meat and stuff you can keep in the freezer. It all just requires a bit of pre-planning. Another thing I've tried really hard to do over the last few years is to ditch the brands that I always automatically put my trust in, and go for some generic things. And this is true of not only foodstuffs, but also things like the first aid aisle, where I was looking at Savlon one day to stock up on our medicine cabinet, and I looked at the supermarket own antiseptic cream, and it had exactly the same percentage of the key ingredient required in an antiseptic cream. And then I looked at the back and they were both made by the same manufacturer, but one was like £1 more expensive. So I think it's really worth sort of considering, you know, why do you have loyalty to a particular brand? Is it because it's genuinely better, or have you just not tried the generic one yet? So maybe sort of broaden out your horizons, try something different that's cheaper. And you know, if it's something where you're like, well, actually, I love the branded item, and for me, it's things like Kellogg's cornflakes. I just can't ditch my addiction to that, and I've accepted that, and I try and cut my food shop in other ways. But it's worth it just to try it, to see if making those little swaps are actually something you notice anyway, in terms of taste and in terms of the general function of what it does, and actually it can save you money. And speaking of switching from fresh to frozen can also save you a few pounds. Now, I'll admit it, certain frozen things, the texture is just very different, like chicken breasts, sausages, particularly frozen sausages. We had a really bad experience with those, just didn't enjoy them. The kids didn't enjoy them. But other things like frozen veg and frozen fruit have been really, really good for us. Now, the frozen fruit I tend to use to like make a smoothie or something like that, or we'll have them out and thaw them and then serve them with a dessert. It's well worth taking a look down the frozen aisle to see if that can save you a little bit of money. You can also save money on your supermarket shop by shopping for the yellow sticker items. So yellow stickers are what supermarkets use to mark up an item as being reduced in price. It's normally reduced in price because it's either like going out of date on that day or the very next day. Now, the time that yellow stickers get put on products really varies from supermarket to supermarket. However, you can get a sense for when your local supermarket tends to put most of its yellow stickers on just by visiting. And you could even ask a member of staff, look, when does your reduced to clear prices tend to go up? Now, some shops have an actual section where they put all yellow sticker items, and with some shops, M&S for example, they just dot it all around. So try and get a sense for what time that's happening, and then aim to shop at that time so you can take advantage of the yellow sticker items, and try and shop for things that you can freeze if it's not something that you're going to eat on that day. Next up, there are some apps that it is well worth you downloading to your phone to save money on your food shop. First of these apps is Jam Donut, which you can use to buy gift cards to spend at your supermarkets. Most of the big supermarkets are on Jam Donut. Effectively, what you're doing is prepaying for your food shop. You buy a gift card, that gift card appears on your Jam Donut app, and then you scan that at checkout as you would a gift card when shopping at any other time, and that's how you pay for your shopping, and then you get cash back for that. So the percentage that Jam Donut offers sometimes is competitive for other cashback sites that offer a similar thing like Airtime Rewards or Top Cashback. Sometimes it's not as competitive. So always have a look to make sure that you're getting the best cashback rate that you can possibly get. Another app to download is Shopmium. Now, this isn't my favourite of the supermarket money saving apps. However, it's pretty good if you're prepared to try different things. So there's often free or discounted items on offer in this app. What you'll have to do is check for the offers, find the thing that you want to buy, go to a relevant supermarket that's partnered up with Shopmium for the offer, buy that item, scan your receipt in the app, and then you'll receive cash back, you'll receive your money back for having participated in that offer. Some of the stuff on there is really random. I've rarely found something on there that I'm like, oh yeah, I actually would buy that anyway. But it's certainly worth taking a look because there's a lot of offers on there that you won't find in other places. My next app recommendation is the Too Good To Go app. So this is an app that aims to cut back on food waste. I've done a whole review of this app before, and I will link that video in the description below. Basically, companies like the M&S garages, Little Waitrose garages, Aldi's on there as well, Morrison's is on there as well, and you'll find lots of local cafes and restaurants are on there too. They want to get rid of their surplus food at the end of the day, and so they sell it on the Too Good To Go app at a very, very discounted rate. It's well worth taking a look to see what retailers are participating in your area. Now, the bag is a total potluck. You do not get to choose what you get. Sometimes it's very, very difficult to make a meal out of all the random stuff that you got. However, from my experience, I have got bags that are amazing value. My final app to recommend to you is the Olio app. And what this does, it's really, really cool. It's a really lovely sort of community-minded app. Is people who have got surplus food can post those food items that they've got on the Olio app and sort of say to people in their area, hey, I've got this, do you want it? Just come and collect it. And then you go and collect it. And again, it's another one like Too Good To Go, aimed at combating food waste. And speaking of food waste, for my next tip, I think it's really, really essential that you use absolutely everything that you buy. And sometimes you might need to get creative with that. Sometimes we found that we've stuck a load of vegetables on the side of a dish where they don't really go. But it's really important as part of making a meal plan is figuring out how you're going to use every single item of food so you're not throwing away food and effectively throwing away money at the end of a week once it's gone off. And speaking of food going off, I try my best not to sweat best before dates or use by dates. I try to look, smell, touch, see, well, is this item just past its absolute very best but still edible, or is it genuinely like a risk to our health? This one can be a bit of a judgment call, but I think a whole ton of food gets wasted by people who chuck stuff too hastily because it's hit its best before date, which best before doesn't even mean like this food is unsafe. It just means that according to the supermarket's measurements, it's gone past its best, but it doesn't mean it's not edible. So I just think try and use a bit of common sense with that and not chuck stuff too quickly. When it comes to saving money on my supermarket shop, one of the biggest challenges for me has always been like, well, what do I feel like eating, and trying to figure out meal ideas that specifically are what I feel like eating. And this is often where I end up overspending because, hey, I don't fancy that today, I want to eat that. So I've tried to join a ton of different Facebook groups with lots of meal ideas so I can think of new things to cook that are going to interest me, that are going to excite me, stop me overspending on food, stop me buying the takeaway that I've been tempted by. And speaking of takeaways, I've also been trying out lots of new fakeaway recipes to try and replace my takeaways so that we've cut right back down to only one a month or one every other month. I really hope that you found these tips for saving money on your supermarket shop really useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next upload. Bye!